Romans chapter 3, 21st verse. But now the righteousness of God without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Here we have the great turning point in the epistle to the Romans. It's the great turning point because prior to this verse, Paul has been indicting all of mankind. All have sinned, every one of us. All of humanity has fallen short of the glory of God. Jew, Gentile. Regardless of how religious you have been, no matter how hard you have tried, we have all fallen short. And Paul here not only is going to tell us, and has told us, that mankind, collectively speaking, has sinned and is lost. And though all have sinned, all can be saved. Even though everyone has fallen short, anyone can be forgiven. And that's the good news. It's the process, or actually it is not a process at all. It is the act of justification. Justification by faith. In faith alone. And that's what he's going to be explaining here, beginning in verse 21. Justification by faith. What is justification? Well, justification is a legal act. It's a legal term. It is that which only God can do. You can try to justify yourself. You can think you're justified before God, that things are all right. But it's only God that can justify anyone. And justification is the means by which God cleanses you from all of your sins, past, present, and future. And he replaces your record, your account, with the perfect record, the perfect righteousness of God himself. It's the means by which he declares you just on the basis of the finished work of Jesus Christ. Now, as I mentioned, justification is an act. It is not a process. And there is no difference, or I should say, as far as each individual, there are no levels of justification, only one. And either you are justified or you ain't. It's that simple. Justification does not mean that you are righteous. It means that you have been declared righteous. Important to remember that. Because God has declared you righteous for eternity, you have been given that position in his Son, perfect righteousness. But though you and I, as believers, have been declared righteous, we are not righteous in and of ourselves. And practically speaking, we are not righteous. We prove that on a daily basis, don't we? But even though we have not been made righteous, we are declared righteous. That legal act. And it is a permanent decision. Just like when the judge hammers down the gavel, not guilty, or he declares that individual to be guilty, that is a permanent decision. So too, the moment you were born again, the moment you were saved, you were declared justified. Not because of what you have done, but because of what Christ has done. And he has replaced your unrighteousness with his righteousness. That's what he's telling us here. And it's different from sanctification. Sanctification is often confused with justification. but the two are, even though they are connected, they are different. Sanctification is a process, and it is the process by which God is continually conforming you to the image of his Son. Sanctification changes sometimes on a daily basis. Justification never changes. It is a permanent state. See, sanctification on a moment-to-moment basis. I can find myself doing good with the Lord for a couple hours, and then I can find myself falling, sinning, saying something, doing something that is wrong. And God works with me. I'm being perfected even though I will never be perfect in this life. It is that process of sanctification. And when the sinner turns to Christ, he is instantly and permanently justified. And as I believe it was Matthew Henry that said, well, actually it was Alan Redpath, the making of a man of God is a lifetime. It's a lifetime process. The conversion of a soul is in an instant. Justification is in an instant. But sanctification, the making of a man or a woman of God, is a lifelong process until we actually are with the Lord in his presence. Now, as he mentions here in verse 21, but now the righteousness of God without the law is manifested or made known, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. This is a difficult truth, not in that it's not hard to understand, but it's difficult for many people to accept. But nonetheless, it is a scriptural teaching. It's a doctrine of justification. And